Hello, my most amazing artists. Today we're going to be using iPads to access an app called Artsonia. Artsonia is a place where you can take pictures of your art and upload it to your account so that you can see it at home too. If your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever at home, uncle, aunt wants to see your artwork, they will be able to sign a permission form so that they can go on and view your artwork at home. That means that there's no more waiting to access it until you get it back at the end of the school year. You can show them instantly once we take a picture and upload it to this app. To access it, you're going to have to type in the access code. That access code will be up on the board. After that, it's going to ask you if you are a student at our elementary school, then you say yes, the green button. After you hit the green check mark, then it's going to ask you to type in your first name. This is where you're going to need to click and access the keyboard to type in your first name. Now, everybody at the whole school's name is in Artsonia. That means that you need to make sure that you are clicking the correct one of you, meaning that it's only going by your first name and the first letter of your last name. So say if I'm going to be Caitlin and my last name starts with an M, I'm going to want to find the one that's in the correct grade. So if I'm in 4th grade, I want to find my name with the grade 4 next to it. If I was in 5th grade, I would find my name with the grade 5 next to it. Then it's going to show where you can upload a project, and it says to select the project that you want to upload to. In this case, we are taking pictures and uploading our Tiny Art Show art piece or our canvas. So I click on Tiny Art Show. Then it's going to lead me right to the camera. When I go to the camera, if there's any pop-ups asking if I can use the camera, you can hit OK. Otherwise, it should lead you right there to take a picture. Now we need to talk about taking a good picture of our art because this is something that took me a long time to learn how to do. We are going to be using the iPad from up above, not taking it on the side or in front of something like you're used to. We're going to be holding that iPad over top. So you're going to need to get your art from what we've been working on for weeks. Make sure it's finished, of course. Put on any finishing touches that you would need to before you even access on the iPad. And then you're not going to leave it on the easel because that wouldn't be flat. We're going to leave it flat on the table. It's important that you're only taking a picture of your art, nothing else around it. So you want to have a clear background, meaning that if my table is white, I'm going to make sure it's only white table around it. In your case, your table is probably black. So you want to push aside any pencils, any paper, eraser shavings, whatever's on there. Make sure the table is nice and clean where you're taking the picture. Then hold the iPad up above. It would not be good to take the picture of it from the side. Then it will make it look all skewed and distorted. So you want to make sure that you're holding it directly above your painting. Not on the side, not down low, but right above it, nice and flat. It might take a little bit of practice for you to be able to do this, especially because that iPad is big and a little tricky to hold. When you do finally hold it over top, you can press on the screen and you'll see a little square appear. That means that it is focusing. If it's out of focus, the photo will come out blurry. Once it's in focus and you are holding the iPad above, you can hit that button down below in the middle to take a picture. If I don't like the picture, I can go to the top left corner and hit the retake button. That will allow me to take another photo of my art. Making sure I hold it above, keep it centered, and showing all the art. Now, if I get a good photo, I can crop the photo. That means I can get out anything else that's not my art. I only want this photo to be of my art, not the table, nothing else. So it's going to allow me to drag and move the corners to fit my art exactly and get rid of everything else. That's called cropping the photo. Now this tool allows me to do it wherever I want. It's called the free crop tool. If I want it to be a perfect square, because maybe this is a little tricky to do, there is another button at the bottom that looks more like a square. Now that will allow you to make a, square or rectangle automatically without having to do it yourself. So this is an easy way, if your art is square or a rectangle, to just go ahead and capture that art a lot quicker. But if you like to do it and you're not quite sure if it's fitting in, you could always do the free tool as long as you're dragging each of those corners to the side. In this case, it's going to make a perfect square as long as I reach that corner and have it just surrounding my art. The perimeter of that box should be wrapped only around my art, making sure it doesn't cut off my name or anything else that's important to my art. Right now, you see me using the rotate tool. That means it's going to turn my art around if it's facing the wrong direction. If I took the photo and it's upside down, or maybe I wanted to turn it, I would hit that button. But because I took my photo the right way, I don't have to use that tool. Same thing for this one right here. This tool is used if your art was a little bit crooked. If one side was towards you and the other one was farther away, you could fix the angles and the degrees. But that's too fancy. As long as you're holding it right above your art, you shouldn't have to use that tool. Then it leads you to the photo editing when you hit next. In the bottom left corner, you will see a little tool that looks like a magic wand. If you hit this tool, it will automatically edit your photo to make it look good, or at least that's what the app thinks. If that doesn't work for you, hit that button again so it goes away and takes those magic edits away. Then you can edit your photo manually or decide it doesn't need any edits. We will not be using the black and white tool since your art is not black and white. Most of you use lots of color, and we want to make it look as real as possible as it is on your table in front of you right now. That way everybody at home can see how awesome it is and exactly what you did. Even better because they can see it even bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and use that magic wand editing because I think it looks great. It's a better job than I could do on my own, changing the brightness and the contrast. Those are just showing you how bright or light to make it if your photo was a little too dark. But the magic wand did the trick, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next. Then it leads me to an option to put in the title. You do need to put in the title of your art piece because we have already created these titles on your tiny certificate. You should be copying what you have down on the first line of your tiny certificate. That was your title. After you enter your title, mine was Mini Masterpiece, I'm going to hit the next button. When I go to the next button, it's going to ask me to enter an artist statement. An artist statement is a short sentence or two about your artwork, telling about why you made it, what inspired you, your favorite parts, and your least favorite parts. It's going to ask you a few questions. You only need to put one sentence, but you're welcome to write more if you would like to tell people at home who are going to see this exactly what you were thinking when you made this artwork. Sometimes it's easier to think of those things while you're in art class than when you're at home and somebody asks you about it. This way, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whoever has access to your Artsonia account because they signed the permission slip will get an email saying you uploaded artwork. Then they'll be able to read exactly what you wrote along with your title. So in this case, the artist statement automatically starts with, I like this artwork because ... You are to fill in that sentence. I say, I like this artwork because it was fun to paint and I love Minnie Mouse. I named it or titled it Mini Masterpiece because it's a picture of Minnie, but also is miniature and small. My favorite part is the frame, and my least favorite part is the flower on Minnie's head or hat because it was really tiny and it was difficult to paint with a small brush. When your artist statement is complete, you can go ahead and hit the next button in the top right corner. So after you're done typing and you've done your best work and your best spelling, but not taking too long because we will be sharing the iPads, you can hit next. It's going to say that it was entered to Miss Q for review. That means that you're done. Then you can go ahead and log out in the top left corner, but don't completely exit out of the app because it's going to allow the next person at your table to type in their name and go ahead and post their artwork. So please go ahead and when you're done, quickly pass it to the next person at your table so that they can enter their name after you log out, find themselves, add their artwork, take a picture, write their title and artist statement. Make sure you're always going to that student part of the app. When you're totally done, then is when we can turn off that app and put our iPads away. But because we will be sharing the iPad one per table and there's 4 to 5 people that have to take pictures of their art, you are going to be working on your sketchbook in between. Don't forget that when you're done taking a photo of your art, we want to always keep that little certificate and pencil together with your artwork. We want to keep it on that easel back where you got it from at the beginning of class. That way nothing gets lost for our tiny art show. Now, when you're done, your sketchbook can be found in your table folder. Whenever you're finished early, you are always welcome to go to your sketchbook. We have sketchbook idea sticks kept at the makerspace. Each one says a different silly drawing prompt. This one says, draw Miss Q as a robot. I'm going to go to a blank page in my sketchbook, ideally the next one available, including fronts and backs. Beware that when you use Sharpie in your sketchbook, it will bleed through. That means if I had something really important on the back side of this page, that Sharpie would bleed through the paper and I would see it on the other side. You don't have to use a sketchbook idea stick, but if you do decide to use one, please make sure to return it back to where you got it from at the makerspace in the correct bucket. When you're done, put it back always where you found it, and if you would like to add color to your sketchbook, you're always welcome to borrow materials from the makerspace. But I think I ran out of time, so it's time to put away my sketchbook in my table folder. Let's go ahead and review all the things that need to be done today. Step number 1, you need to photograph and upload your artwork to the Artsonia app. Make sure you're always following the directions, and the iPad manager for the day will be the first one to get that iPad and then pass it along to everybody else in that number order at your table. They'll pass it to the person next to them and then so on as you're ready. If you are waiting and you're already finished with your tiny art, you can be drawing in your sketchbook while you're waiting for your turn. No fighting over the iPad. After you've already done Artsonia and you've done your sketchbook for a while and completed steps number 1 and 2 and returned your tiny art to your class zone at the front counter, then we might even have time to open centers today. Remember, centers are only open when everything is done, and if they're too distracting, we close them down. That means that we need to get our business done first, and then we have our fun later. So if you are completely finished with all of these steps, and only if you have triple checked that you've done all these steps and cleaned up, then you may ask me to go to centers or if they are open. All right, artists, can't wait to see what you create, as well as can't wait for your families to see what you've been creating.